What is up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. Today we are here at Lake Julian Disc Golf Course, and we have two extremely overstable mid-ranges with us today. We have the Justice that I haven't super been rocking with, and I think it has to do with the slightly softer shoulder. It's not board flat, it's not pedal topped, it has the tiniest bit of dome, and it just doesn't do what I want for this slot. And this slot isn't the reach for go-to overstable mid-range. This is a utility slot for scramble shots. This is, you pull it out when nothing else will hold up against the wind. This is what you throw. So while the Justice is amazing, it flies too similar to the overstable mid-ranges I already feel even more comfortable with than the Justice. So it doesn't really seem to fit a spot in my bag because the Pyro is already right there and very similar to the Justice. I need something that is actually dumpy overstable. In steps the Proton Deflector. This thing is an absolute meat hook. We're gonna throw both forehand and backhand today, and hopefully we'll get a good matchup. Gonna start off with the disc from my bag, Justice first. Just gonna throw a little flex forehand here on the mid pad for hole 12. And the problem is that flies like a Pyro. It flexes like a Pyro. It doesn't flex like this. That thing started biting back as soon as it left my hand. The Justice just doesn't do it. I'm gonna be interested to see the true chops of the Deflector, because Deflector is great. I don't know if it's actually what I want because I haven't really thrown it that much. So testing that out today. Now, I do also want to state that the metric for today is not which one is the furthest, which one is the glidiest, which one is just amazing, and this is about being blatantly overstable. So which one of these goes the shortest, which one drops out of the air fastest? I don't want distance with this slot, I want control. And if it gets to the ground faster, more control. Justice taking the first point. We are on the tee pad for 11. It's gonna be another little flex forehand. Blatantly and aggressively overstable. I hit that tree almost every single time I flex a Pyro. It's not what I'm looking for. Deflector, kind of dirty. Deflector might actually be what I want. Mutant was pretty good, but Mutant also was so extremely slow that sometimes it wouldn't go far enough, and it only went about as far as as far as a putter. So I'm looking for slightly further than putter, but blatantly more overstable than any other mid-range I own. Now, based off the profile of the discs, the Justice is kind of made on how do we make an overstable disc on the old principles of overstability. Raise the wing, put a bead on it. You have a high wing, you have a bead. Justice said, now we're just gonna be even more higher. Super flat, super torque resistant, and it's Proton, which was one of my favorite plastics of all time. One of the grippiest for me personally, so I grip it better than this Moonshine X Justice. We're gonna throw the backhand, and it's a little bit of a tail crosswind. We're gonna give the discs the option to drift, but we don't want them to drift. So if they do drift, we don't want that. And now the Justice. Why does that Justice glide so far? It's supposed to dump out of the air. So far the Deflector has gone 3-0. So we're gonna go throw 2 more throws and see if the Justice can possibly claw back. But at this point, and honestly, after the first week of throwing the Justice, I kind of already knew that I didn't like it, or that I wasn't going to end up liking it. This isn't me saying, it's a Justice, I don't want it. This is me being, it doesn't do what I want from this slot. It's a great disc, and I would throw it probably if I didn't have pyros, but the fact that I'm comparing it to a pyro means that it doesn't really fit the same slot for me. And I think a big part of it comes from most of the people that recommend the Justice are forehand dominant. I'm not forehand dominant. I throw probably 60, maybe even 70% backhands preferred. I still will throw forehands, but I'm not reaching for the Overstable forehand disc and just pumping it on almost every drive. I'm reaching for touchy backhand, touchy forehand. So this doesn't, I think it's very similar to the Sexton Firebird versus some of the other options. And the Sexton Firebird having the slightly softer shoulder, the slightly softer wing, it just goes further, but it doesn't hook as hard and as fast as I want it to for that slot in particular. And I think that's what we're getting from Justice versus Deflector, is that the Deflector really does hook the way I want it to. The Justice, it just doesn't. It glides really well and it goes really far, but if I want that shot, I'm gonna throw a pyro. Another flex forehand on the T415. Let's see if we can reach it. Oh yeah. And beads don't come off my forehand very easily. Deflector's gonna win out. It's gone 4-0. We're gonna go ahead and throw one more backhand shot just because for distance purposes I want to know, but Justice is not it. And while Justice is okay, the Deflector wants nothing more than to just sit at this angle. So for the person throwing it, that makes me feel very confident, very comfortable that I can just throw it on more Anheuser and I'll get a bigger flex, because it only wants to be here. It wants to be on this angle or wants to be on this angle, depending if it's a backhand or a forehand. And so you just crank it on more Anheuser, it's gonna go straighter and then it's gonna fade. The Justice, you crank it on Anheuser and it drifts right and then it flexes back. We're gonna bring back the Mutant one more time to try against the Deflector, but that'll be another video. Right now, Justice, I'm sure you're great. Not for me. Not for me. Deflector's gonna be in the bag for the foreseeable future, and foreseeable future means at least until the next video where I do this against the Mutant. So, Deflector is pretty good. I think the Deflector goes a little bit further than the Mutant, not quite as far as the Justice, So I'm gonna have to figure out, compared to the rest of my mid-range distances and my putter distances, do I need the mutant or the deflector? I think that's where the thing's gonna come from. But let's go ahead and see if we can park this basket about 300 feet away. It just wants to fade. So if you throw it on enough anhyzer and high enough, it's gonna go where you want. And it's always gonna do that, and the deflector's not gonna get played around with by the wind. So I can really lay into that on almost any circumstances. Hopefully you guys are enjoying content like this. If so, please make sure to like the video. If you want to see new stuff, make sure to comment all that down below. Hope you guys are going to want to see more of the deflector and possibly the mutant, because the justice is out. Until next time, oh yeah, please make sure to subscribe. I have so many subscriber-only giveaways coming out all the time, so make sure you're doing that. Until next time, see you out on the course.